Microsoft and Cisco, which have that sort of global and certainly national footprint. What are you seeing? What are you seeing around this region? What are you seeing nationally now, especially Janet, in your role, that might be worth knowing for those who are looking at career options about where the future lies?
Cisco has 6,000 employees here. We do everything from sales engineering, by the way, as well as a big thing. So systems engineer, systems architect, those really hit me list. We do. This is where you see the Apples and the Googles, Facebook, AT&T, Verizon, Cisco, and others build big technical operations centers. So we employ here both our outsourcing component of Cisco, they do network engineers that do that, as well as the technical assistant I told you, which is this customer support. He's got hundreds of employees here as well out of those 6,000. So regionally, I would tell you from a Cisco perspective, that's what he had, but there's a lot of companies like that, AT&T, like I said, Verizon. When you go to the other side of the state, you're talking about a financial center, right? So when you go to Charlotte, a big city, nothing wrong with Greensboro, but in Charlotte, right, you'll see more financial bound opportunities, right? Where you see more the accounting. I have a sister that works in Charlotte, who's at the Bank of America, but you also see technology surrounds all of those. By the way, the Bank of America technology people are actually in Charlotte as well. So this state is full of technology, from my opinion. And I think, by the way, we can't grow fast enough. We can't grow enough students to support technology and be a technologist. And we also need to bring more, if you will, startups from around technology into North Carolina. That's actually what are we missing? That's what we're missing. We have plenty of Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Cisco, Lord, others bringing people here. We need the startups to come be an inventor and start technology companies here. We need to make this the Silicon Valley of the East, and not give it up to my friends in San Jose, where Cisco has 25,000 employees, by the way. Right? But we want it to be here, and so that's the other thing.
And so to take that nationally, and I'll even draw on Xerox. So when we look at what the industry is doing here, BPO, business process outsourcing. So when you talk about taking those large data centers, in particular Xerox is best known for state governments, for departments of transportation, the state of Texas. You'll have to forgive me, it's been 60 days, so I'll say we for both, and you want to say we, Janet. But Xerox runs the state of Texas toll system for them. Unfortunately, we had some unflattering publicity not too long ago. Xerox runs these systems for the food stamp program for the United States government. So when they had the issue in Louisiana with the credit cards in Walmart, that was Xerox's outsourcing. So we have our global services group, where it's now acquired ACS, so a consulting company that does just that. So when we talk about business process outsourcing, many people may not match that to technology. That's full of solutions analysts, systems engineer, programmers, data centers, large, huge data centers across the country, across the world even, that manages all of that information for national and for global companies. So again, the companies that you might think of, you might not traditionally see as one that would fit you with your nature and with what it is that you want to do. So I'd encourage you as a student looking to find that role or that company that fits for you. Make sure that you do your research on the company. Make sure that you understand all of the divisions that it does. Again, if anybody's been sleeping for the last 6 months, possibly might not really understand that Microsoft is no longer just a software company anymore. But we are about devices and services, and when we talk about services, that's going bold up against the IBM Global Services and the Xerox and the ACS. So everyone is inside of that BPO, and I would say that's the next frontier, wherever you are in the country.
A couple of big trends in the world today are cloud computing and digitization. And Caterpillar came to Lord and said they had a problem, and they wanted to see if we could help them solve it. And the problem they were having is in their big mining trucks that are as big as this auditorium. If there's any downtime, they lose hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars to fix that repair. So they came to us and said, could you predict when welds are going to fail? And we said, we'll try. So we put together a sensing system put it on their wells, and we could predict failure. And what we did for them is we connected that sensing system on that big dump truck, and we connected it to the cloud and added some computing power to that in the cloud, where it could go through the algorithms and predict failure of that weld. And we connected it in a way where anybody at Caterpillar that wanted to track that vehicle anywhere in the world, Australia, South Africa, wherever, could track that and monitor those sensors in real time and see how things were going, to where they could predict failure, schedule maintenance, and save them hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. So this trend of digitization of the world, connecting through the cloud, is a big trend in the world. Tons and tons of career opportunities will be there. Entrepreneurs starting new businesses are going to be all over that space.
That through sensor technology like Moore's building, that we'll be able to put, there'll be 14.4 trillion connected devices in the world by 2025. How many people in the world, you guys do the math? Okay, 14.4 trillion. What is it going to take to understand that environment where everything's connected like that? So that's where we're headed. That's what you want to talk about, a macro trend. The internet of everything's a macro trend.
I think my daughter has 13 trillion of those. Let me say one quick, just practical thing for you. We've commented about types of jobs, and I hit on this at the beginning. Lots of tech companies hire lots of non-tech employees, and lots of non-tech companies hire lots of tech employees. So don't limit your assumptions about what might be available to you. If you're technologically oriented and that's your thing, tech companies need finance people, they need marketing, they need sales, they need lots of those sorts of roles. And similarly, tech companies that need, non-tech companies need lots of technical leaders, project managers, and so on. So keep that in mind. There is a website that our association created you might want to make note of where both types of jobs are posted. It's nctechjobs.com, nctechjobs.com. Despite the word tech jobs in there, it's really jobs that tech companies are hiring for of all types, and then certainly other companies that need tech workers. So take a look at that. That board goes up and down in terms of what's there and how many are there. Sometimes there's spurts of activity, but bookmark it and keep your eye on it.
You just talked a little bit about non-tech industries hiring tech companies, and then also Mr. Yeager, you mentioned digitalization kind of just being one of the trends that push people into it. What are some of the other trends that push those non-technological companies like life science industry or some other industries into the technology?
You want to think about a field that connects to tech companies, non-tech companies, life science, you name it, cybersecurity connects to everybody. If you're in I'll give you one example. So in the defense industry, there's a company called Raytheon. Raytheon makes a lot of the different missiles for the Defense Department. There's a hacker, they get hit 1 billion times a day by hackers trying to get into their network. And there's a little saying that's out there, is that if you don't think your computer's been hacked,
You're wrong.
it's been hacked.
So I'll give you another example along those lines. It's a great one. I was sitting at Cisco the other day in an executive briefing center, and sitting in front of me was somebody who runs railways for Europe. Right? So you think railways technology, right? They were talking about how standards in Europe are causing them to bring technology into their business to generate the outcome they're required, whether it be for safety, whether it be for trains or buses, the entire environment. And they're actually in Europe have created, the European Union has created, what's it, commandments, or not, but rules that basically say by certain years they have to be at certain levels of compliance. And so it's amazing, right? It's amazing how technology links into transportation. These schools in Italy, he's like, look, we just worried about getting trains in and out of the station. Now we're talking about technology. So it goes over and in and out of I think every industry, you'll find technology weaved through. And innovation weaved through all this. That's a great question.
My question to you, as I listen to all that you all deal with, and of course what perhaps your colleagues may deal with, what psychological outlets do these companies offer for these individuals that are all the time glued to a computer desk for hours at a time? Their outlets, people don't express themselves the way they should. What do you all offer from a psychological perspective to help with?
Particular is interesting at Microsoft, which is phenomenal to me. In the middle of the campus there in Redmond, there is a soccer field, a basketball court, other play items and toys there. And at any given moment during the day, you can just find people out there playing, releasing, letting go. And you also find them at all hours of the night and morning. Sadly enough, in the last 60 days, I've been there both all hours, night and morning as well, to see them. How would I know this? So, it is, everything is there for you that you need, and I've been blessed by that with 2 companies that I have worked with. But I'll also say, and this is why I speak to working for a company that fits you culturally. Both of my groups inside of both of Microsoft and Xerox are those around who are Christians. So for me, that is my release. And that is what I got to be able to be comfortable to do, whether I'm at work or whether I'm at home, and have coworkers where we are comfortable to do what we need to do. If that means getting together and praying in our office, if that means kicking off a meeting with help guide us with what we need to do. Both of the companies that I've been fortunate to work for allow that people to be themselves, and to me that's very important.
Around the geeks, they've got ping pong tables, they have Xboxes, they've got all the different pieces to play with, basketball. We try to create an environment where, listen, after you've been yelled at by a customer for an hour, it'd be nice to go play pool, foosball, do something, right? So we try to create outlets right built in and actually make spaces in all of our buildings that enable us to release a little bit. And by the way, that's how you create an environment of wanting to be. You get people connected to, they release but then connect. And so I think many of us have created those environments inside of our company that look like that and have similar things. I bet we all have affinity groups, which allows people to go in those directions as well. So if there's anything later, you can grab me later and tell me what your thoughts are that maybe we're missing. That would be another opportunity. You don't need to do that now, but please grab me later if you don't mind.
I noticed earlier you guys all mentioned how you moved around, and we're not scared to move around from job to job and challenge yourself. And so is that something I guess we all should be considering, to not be complacent, to look at working one position for 20 or 30 years and not be scared to move around? And I heard Ed mention that he was not scared to take on challenges that, he wasn't familiar with. So I kind of, just chiming in on what I heard from you guys, not to be scared. And can you guys give us some more background on that? I heard her mention she worked one place 25 years, you worked 4 years in one field, then you went into management and so forth, and now you're CEO, president of Lord Corporation, which has some great aircraft in your hangar. I've seen those before. But, can you guys talk to us more about, not being scared to take on those challenges, to move into areas where you don't have education or experience in, and share that type of information with us?
Opportunities are all around you, all the time. And having an open mind and just being open to the discussion, open to the awareness is the first spot. When you do make that shift, and that shift comes with a certain amount of anxiety, because it's different, it's new, it's unknown, is dive in. Right away, day one, dive in, learn as fast as you can, as much as you can, and talk to people, collaborate with people. So, learn from their experiences, learn from what they've already done. And that transition you'll see that it goes very quickly. And it's not that soon before your feet are on the ground. But your feet are not going to be on the ground for maybe months. I've transitioned in this role into the CEO role at the beginning of the year, and I can tell you that in a lot of ways I'm still uncomfortable in the role, but it probably took me about 7 or 8 months to where I was somewhat comfortable. And I know I'll never be comfortable just the way I am and, you know, going forward and doing different things. But it takes time, but kind of embrace that time. Know it's going to be there, know you're going to get uncomfortable, know you're going to go home and you're going to be frustrated, but you'll get through that.
When we were uncomfortable, you have to be comfortable with change. I always say, I said many times, who I work for is more important than what I do, and what I do is very stinking important, right? And so I worry about who I'm working for more than what I do, just to get a feel for that. And I will tell you, just being comfortable, be courageous and be comfortable in that spot. I had a coach say to me one time, asked me a question, and said, hey, do you ever wake up and feel like you're a fraud? I was like, what does that mean, right? And her point was, look, if you're pushing the envelope, then everyone's going to feel like you've outstripped or you're not capable of something. And you have to be willing to be comfortable with being in that moment where you're a little bit jittery or nervous about where you are, but are you willing to come to work the next day and work hard? Are you willing to keep coming, and keep coming, and keep coming?
You'll get to that point that you are miserable and you are comfortable, and then that's when you know that you need to do the next thing. As they've said, there's that uncomfortableness of not knowing, you don't know what you don't know. And then you become aware of what you don't know. And then you get to mastery. And then once you've mastered that, you're the leader of the pack, and you have your swag back, then you take your swag away. Don't let anybody else have, but you take it away because you start something else. So find being miserable when you're comfortable in the place that you want to be.
So Ed, you had mentioned wells and vehicles and engines. We're entering an era of nanotechnology where we have carbon nanotubes that the Department of Defense is investing heavily in. You could suspend a person from the ceiling with a carbon nanotube wire. Nobody in the room could see the wire, but you could suspend that weight. They're so strong. Could you briefly indicate how this will impact your business? That's number one. Steve, in Cisco, you have a lot of intellectual property. Do you run into issues with other countries that may be not recognizing or taking advantage of the fact that they can basically seize intellectual property or just come in with copies and that sort of thing? And last, Janet, you said know what you want. Is there a possibility, since so many students have no idea what they want, is there a possibility that you could, maybe even at Microsoft, come up with a true assessment tool to truly assess individuals with big data to determine what they really want?
A huge trend and will be extremely important to the future of the world. Many different uses where Lord is using that technology, and not to scare everybody in the room, but on average, every aircraft that's flown gets struck by lightning once a year. Every single one.
Thanks a lot.
And every year. So you can look for that next time you're flying. But anyway, so Lord is taking, developed some coating technology at the nano scale so that we're able to dissipate the energy from those lightning strikes on composite aircraft and do it better than anybody in the world. And so it's a great technology, nanotechnology, and good use of that.
So for us, intellectual property is everything in Cisco. We struggle with China probably the most. It's not even close. We have a competitor by the name of Huawei. You know Huawei. They tried it in the U.S., but the U.S. government's been great about helping us, and Microsoft and others keep Huawei at bay. They don't necessarily respect intellectual property as we would like them to. The rest of I would argue that most of the rest of the countries in the world operate in an open, respected intellectual property. You always are going to have patent attorneys. Somebody's got to keep attorneys employed, and there's plenty of patent attorneys to deal with those kinds of issues. But by far, it's China. It's not even close, in my opinion. So it's a great question.
So I am sure that we have an assessment tool to be able to do that. And I say it based on the fact that in September at our company meeting, we were disclosed to one of our business partners in technology that Microsoft has developed that allowed a woman to sign language in Chinese and it be interpreted and spoken back to us in English through one of our devices. So while I'm not aware of an assessment tool that we have that will allow someone to, or that it will figure out what someone wants to do, if we are able to do something like that, I'm sure that's not far off.
Sort of a theme throughout has been the need to have some degree of technical competency, literacy, and so on, and no matter what you want to do. Let me not emphasize that to such an extreme that the opposite point doesn't also get made, and that is that if you are technically savvy or you've taken in the business program this course or that course and you can read a balance sheet and you know how to create a business plan, great for you, so can thousands of others. What will make you hired and promotable? And how will you end up being the CEO of an organization you start with or another one? How will you end up being vice president or a chief of staff of an organization that you're new to or have been with for several decades? It is actually the non-technical skills that will set you apart. It is the ability to communicate, to collaborate, to work with others, to work in a project environment. All of those things, because somebody will decide whether or not you're hired or promoted. Even if you're sitting in a committee, there's probably one person that's the influencer in that group, and they will make that decision in large measure based on how you stand out from, apart from, or above the others who are perhaps very technically competent and have a very impressive, very similar resume to yours, even similar work history to yours. Because really you're marrying somebody. I mean, this is someone you're going to spend time with, work with, spend more time with than probably your own spouse or family. So don't forget that, despite a lot of the messaging today, which I had a lot to do with, that those skills and those things you learn through doing will be as important perhaps as what you master. So thank you very much for the attention that you've given us. Thank you. Please join me in thanking our panel.
This has been great, exciting.
The opportunity to come and speak to the students. I got to tell you, I love the opportunity to be here, to meet such young, bright minds, and have a chance just to get to know you. And I hope that we've had an opportunity to have a little bit of impact on how you look at your career and where you're going. And I wish you all the best. Thanks for the opportunity.
Hi, my name is Al Harris, and I attended tonight's lecture on business and technology. Enlightening series about the future that we are faced with and existing today, and going forward where we can look to be in the years to come. As far as my business is concerned, we're in private industry, but of course that does not stop technology from moving. Having younger individuals in school today, they will be able to apply the technology that we're experiencing with Lord, Cisco, and of course Microsoft and Xerox in their everyday lives.
My name is Carrie Henderson, and I'm one of the principals of Gibson Cell Business Communications, and I was interested in attending tonight just to hear more from the speakers about technology and how important that is in recruiting and retaining employees and such. Many of our clients are with the STEM-based organizations, and they're very focused on technology and recruiting and such, and that's something that I think we learned a lot from today from Lord, Cisco, and Microsoft.
This is Arnold Floyd. I'm a full-time student as well as I work full-time at Lenovo. I came to tonight to get some insight about the different companies that were coming here to really help students with information. And what I got out of tonight was not to be afraid to try new things, to try something different. One of the questions I specifically asked was about moving from one job to another and for new opportunities, because I got that sense from the panelists today that they all had reached out and went on faith and tried new opportunities.
Hi, my name is Angel Green Underwood. I am the owner of Artistic App Design Group Incorporated, and my question this evening was concerning the psychological aspect of company support and what they're doing in order to preserve their employees. And my response with Cisco Systems, of course, they take very good care of their customers and their employees. However, what about the companies that don't take care of their employees, and why don't they take care of their employees? I currently have a small business. I have about 4 employees, but I pride myself on taking care of my employees. I do believe that if you take care of your employees will take care of you.
Technology is all around us. It'll continue to evolve. It'll continue to change. We have to welcome that. We have to welcome change. We have to welcome being uncomfortable so that we can grow from that and start our careers in a fun industries, fun environment, and make a difference in the world.